I'm Shanelle and welcome to my couch. So right now we're about to get into Put a Ring on It, episode 3. And the new couple enters, which is Tamika and Vince. And I'm like, cute, she's gorgeous. He's alright, I can tell. He's the kind of dude that has to lead with his personality. So he comes off very loving and affectionate and kind, caring. So they've been together for 2.5 years, but they have trust issues. He's ready to marry her right away, but she's the one who has the issue. And she tells us when they first started dating, he was talking to other women, which was fine because they weren't official, but then come to find out that when they started dating, he had continued a relationship with another woman. The woman reached out to her because he kept making Tamika feel like she was insecure, the issue was all in her head, she was making it up, all that manipulative behavior that we've seen from men plenty of times. Makes me want to punch him dead in his face. I won't. Yeah, so then the lady reached out to him, so she found out that he really was still messing with her, but he still wouldn't admit it to the full extent. So he claimed he was like a girl he was trying to exit, but through the messages she could see that he was telling them both the same thing. So he's just a fucking liar. So anyway, Dr. Nicole tells them all that they're all going to be going on dates this week. She explains the process to them that they'll be dating. And it's this, like, you could tell in Tamika's face, it's like her worst fear. It's bad enough what she has to deal with. And now she's just going to have to be willing to send her man on dates. So on the way home, Hollywood and Ashley get into another heated discussion about the heated discussion they had in the meeting. Ashley says, again, it's embarrassing. So he continues to embarrass her. So he feels he's been waiting about the same amount of time Ashley was waiting for him from the time that he proposed to her. And she's like, no, hold on. I waited 5 years before that. So I've really been waiting 7 years for you to get your shit together. And he just feels like, how long is it going to take? He's very impatient and it's very bullying. Like, you can't just force somebody to be ready to marry you when you put them through all that shit. So he decides that he's not going to ask her about it anymore, and he wants her to come to him when she's ready. And she says what she needs to see from him to be ready is some consistency. So see if you'll be able to do that. So now Tamika and Vince, they talk about the group session, and Tamika says she can't ask Vince a direct question. She has to go around about the question to get her answer. And I'm just like, Vince ain't shit. Vince ain't shit. I said it, and I'm not understanding. I'm at the point where, I'll say that in a bit. So she starts laying down ground rules for Vince. No kissing, no doing this, no doing that. But I really doubt that he's going to follow through with any of her rules. And I don't feel security in the relationship. So I don't understand how she could feel any security in it for herself. He gives me a lot of empty promises. Like, he's very good at a performance. He's an artiste, darling, but yeah, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. So now we got this guy, Andre. Andre's fine, y'all. So Andre's an artist. He's a painter. He goes on a date with Ashley. So he's setting up everything. Ashley comes and he's like putting forth great effort. He's showing that he's attracted to her. He's telling her that he's attracted to her. He's also like, he gave her a hand massage and all that. So she was taking up all the goods and stuff. So she's flirting back. They had this real cute, playful interaction, but I didn't really see a connection between the two of them. So now the ladies meet up Have a little kiki session with a drink. Sorry, that reminds me, I need a sip. And Ashley, Tamika's asking them about their previous experience in this situation and what to expect. And Ashley says that Dr. Nicole is bringing up the things that they've swept under the rug in their relationship. So, they need to be ready. And Ashley tells us in her confessionals that she likes Shay, but she feels that she was wrong for ghosting Mike. And she's wrong for ghosting Mike, and the fact that she now wants to rush him down the aisle, it's not cool. And she wouldn't be dealing with it if it was her. And I 100% agree with her. And I think Ashley understands that because her situation is kind of similar to Mike, whereas now they're both being forced down the aisle when their partners have done things to them that made them very uncomfortable. Now, the difference between the two is Ashley had spoken up about her concerns, but Mike hadn't until they had the conversation with Dr. Nicole, which is very interesting. I wonder why he hadn't said anything to her about it up until then. Maybe it's just the protection thing that he has. It's just it's cool. People can do what they want to do, but I have to protect myself. And, sometimes people don't know how to process their own feelings. So maybe Dr. Nicole has been helping them in that area. So Tamika then explains a little bit more about some other things that's happened with her relationship with Vince. And she tells us that this man told her he was going on a production trip, and he actually went on vacation to see the other girl's family in Chicago. And to this day, he won't admit it. But the other girl has sent her the itinerary, all the information, all proof and information, and that's what happened. So at this point, I just kind of feel like this couple need to get their shit and leave the show, and we need to get a new couple because I don't understand why they're here. He need to go, okay? I'm done with Vince. He ain't shit. So now Shay and Mike have a little date night, and she tells Mike basically that if he doesn't propose, she tells us, and I think also she tells him, if he doesn't propose at the end of this process, that she's moving on. And he's like, well, regardless of if I propose or not, you're still not going to get married next year. He ain't lying. So I think she hates that because she has no power in this situation. And I can see their relationship is very much a power struggle. And she gives me this very spoiled vibe that she usually gets whatever she wants. And she's struggling to not get that here with our darling Mike. Yeah, I just kind of feel like he should break up with you. Mike is cute too, man. He'd be alright somewhere else. But I think Mike needs to really take some time to deal with his issues with not feeling safe with people and trusting them and wanting to be able to really have a full relationship. It's the whole thing of your fear is pulling up the situation that scares you the most. So you're attracting people like Shay because that's your belief that you have. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So now Tamika meets with Everson for her date. And this guy, he came in his church suit. I thought he was a deacon. First of all, I thought this was a joke, honestly. I was like, is he joking? Is this like a comedy break? And he came off just very extra, real extra and corny. Made me sense a little something else about him, but I won't say that out loud. He told her that he doesn't drink, and I feel like, people tell other people that while dating, because there are people out here that feel like they can't deal with somebody who doesn't drink because they don't feel like they can have fun on the same level. And I used to be very much like that. Like, I wouldn't date someone who didn't drink. And I don't drink nearly as much as I used to. I just have a glass of wine every once in a while, but I'm at the point where I would have no problem dating someone who didn't drink. That's not a requirement for me. There's so much bigger issues to deal with while dating. So the guy, he hopes that it wasn't a bad dating situation, but Tamika claims that it was a vibe, and she was very much worried about Vince during that process, not hurting Vince's feelings and stuff. He don't give a fuck about your feelings, but go off, sis. So I think that the date looked dry as hell. I think that it was a no-go, and I really wonder who chose this man to go on a date with her. Like, that's not what she needed to get away from Vince. It's supposed to give her something that shows her that she's worthy of something better, which is what a lot of other people are experiencing on their dates. So whoever did that, they dropped the ball. So now, Shay goes out on a date with Peyton, and they go bowling. He comes in all extra like, yo, you gonna lose, and he was just gutter balls, left, right, and center. Poor baby. So she asked him what he wants, and he says he thinks now he's a relationship man. I was very surprised from what they showed us that she never asked him if he was ready to get married. That's her whole thing. She wants to get married. Why wouldn't you ask him that? So I wonder if she asked him, but they just cut it out, which would be poor on the editor's part. She tells Peyton that she's not the problem in her relationship. It's her boyfriend. And I'm like, bitch, are you paying attention in therapy? So anyway, that date was very much focused on her relationship. And I think that's very much a terrible way to date. You're supposed to be seeing what is in this person that you might want, or you're not supposed to be bringing up your man every 2 seconds and what's going on in your relationship. Like, come on, like, focus on what's happening. So I'm like, this scenario of dating others to find out if you want to be in the relationship is a bit weird when her heart is clearly with Mike, who she doesn't deserve. So Hollywood and Ashley have a separate session with Dr. Nicole, and the doctor asked Hollywood why he proposed in the first place, and he said he felt the ultimatum, and at that point he did not want to lose Ashley. But when it came to the point where he called off the engagement, he just didn't care anymore. He didn't care what the consequences were. But for her, he doesn't understand that whole moment of him proposing and then taking it back, what that did to her, how it embarrassed her, how it made her insecure, made her feel less than. And I don't think men would ever understand the effect of that. It's best you just break up with somebody and hurt them in that way, instead of just being like, oh, I did it because you want to, I didn't do it because I wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's trauma. And but she's still extremely angry about this situation, and I completely understand. There's this whole thing of having to constantly feel like you have to prove your worth to somebody, and I found myself in situations like that often, where I was constantly trying to prove that I was worthy of them, and then I turn around and realize, like, you're not even worthy of me. So maybe that's where we'll find Ashley at the end of this process. So Tamika tells Vince about her date with the church guy, the deacon, and they're both really worried that they'll meet somebody else and really like them in the dating process. If I was Tamika, I'd be very worried. And so while they're talking, somebody knocks on the door, and she's like, that better not be your date. And it just seemed to me like he didn't know the date was coming, or maybe he was lying, because Vince is a liar. And he opens the door. It's Jazzy, his date. So Tamika then starts trying to make a point as they walk out the door, but then starts crying, and then starts having a little bit of a tantrum just go, whatever. And he still leaves. And I'm like, yo, that's not the way you leave your girl. Like, you're supposed to say, Jazz, can you hold on for a second? Let me check up on her, make sure she's good before I actually walk out. But he just left. I don't think he should have left like that. I think that interaction probably caused more harm than good. And maybe they should really have these dates and just meet them out somewhere instead of coming to the couple's home. Like, that just, like, it's just, y'all are messy. It's just trying to create mess. So that was the end of the episode. We're going to continue to see the rest next week. And then if these people want to go out with the people they want to date with again, I'm thinking Ashley will go back out with, what's homeboy's name? Andre. Yeah, Andre was cute. I think Ashley should go see him again. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on this episode, guys. Thank you for checking in with me, and I will see you next week, okay? Or on about to do Ready to Love. So hopefully you'll come see me over there. Alright? Bye.